Welcome to the TJ Malden Leadership Podcast, where we talk about life, leadership, and the gospel.
Hey, welcome to the TJ Malden Leadership Podcast. I'm so glad. I say the same thing every time. You know what I'm going to say. I am glad that you are here. I'm glad that you take a few minutes to hang out with me as I grapple with, and I think we all grapple with, different aspects of life, leadership, and the gospel, different aspects of difficulty and joy, celebration and suffering. I'm going to throw a little bit of everything at you every time we get to hang out together. So today, I want to tell you a couple stories, and I'm just going to take you along on a journey for a little bit. Listen, last couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to New Mexico. Now, listen, this is something that I try to do in some capacity every single year. It's almost like when you're a kid and you're looking forward to Christmas morning. I look forward to, we call it, even the office around here, everybody calls it the mountain. And there is always a lot of anticipation for the mountain. For me, it's a place that I can respite and relax, limited cell service. Like when you're hunting, when you're on the mountain, when you're grinding, you don't really have access to cell service. It was honestly, I guess a year ago, they brought a Starlink in, and so when you're back at camp at night, you can have some access to emails, and you definitely notice like people have access to their social media again, because like used to, we were just all talking about life, and now everybody's like staring at their phone. So in the evenings, and so it was a little sad part of the mountain for me, was the Starlink, whatever. We love Elon for some things maybe not. It's up to you. You make up your mind about him. I think it's great. Anyways, so the mountain, all right? The mountain is a place where I've always gone. It's like, man, there are a lot of pressures in life. And so I think everybody needs the mountain, right, for themselves. For some of you, it's sitting on a beach. For some of you, it's the back deck at your house, and you're drinking your cup of coffee, watching the sunrise and listening to the birds chirp and all that stuff. Everybody needs this moment of respite, this place that they go where they can just retreat a little bit. And this year, it was especially special to me because, man, I just personally, from April, May, June, July, August, just walked through an interesting season for me. Marriage better than it's ever been. My kids are doing amazing. Our staff here at our church, one of the greatest group of people that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. But I took some relational hits over those 3 or 4 months. You guys know my ears ring. I was struggling with some some low days, kind of some tough times. So I was really looking forward to the mountain. There's like a ring of people that enjoy gossiping about me, and a lot of those things had gotten back to me, over the month leading up to going to the mountain. So I was like, man, I'm ready to just spend a week, like in an untouchable place in the mountain where I can just like spend some time with Jesus, hang out with some of my favorite people, and just kind of rest. And so we're getting there the first day. It's the first day or 2 days. And I probably tell y'all more than I should sometimes, but you're just going to get it all. So we get there the first day or 2 days, and my buddy Matt, one of my best friends in the whole world, we're kind of walking through, there's this place called Big Lake. It's an old dried up lake. And we had several trees. So in the morning, this is how it goes. In the morning, you chase bulls all over the mountain, and they're bugling, and like you're calling to them, and you're trying to get in a position to harvest an elk, right? But in the evenings, you sit over water holes, and because it's dry and it's hot there, and bulls have to drink, so they'll come to water. Well, in the evening, we used to sit at this place called Big Lake, and it's this giant kind of valley, beautiful rolling hills, and there are these giant pines. I mean, like epic. You think like old logging pines that you see from videos where like 2 guys were on the saw, like taking down the old trees back in the day. It's those kinds of trees out in the middle of this huge open space. Well, the first year we went, I've been going for about 6 years now. This past year was the 6th trip I think I've taken to the mountain. And the first year, there were like 7 or 8 of these trees all around Big Lake, and they're beautiful, huge. And, a couple years ago, I noticed like, man, one of them had been struck by lightning, and it was dying. And there was another one that was struck by lightning. And this year, we went back, and what Matt and I called our tree, where we were sitting. The first time that I heard a bull really bugle, like really close, was in this tree. And it was, the tree itself had been blown to pieces, struck by lightning. And we were walking through, we'd hunted some, and I was just kind of sharing with Matt some of the things from the last year and life and leadership and some of the difficulties and struggles of leading organizations. He leads a pretty large organization himself, so we're just kind of kicking back struggles and successes, and he says this to me when we're walking, and we're just kind of unpacking life and processing, and we're walking through Big Lake, and Matt looks over and he says, "Hey, TJ, you notice something?" And I was like, "Nah, man, what?" He said, "It's only the really tall trees and the tallest trees that are struck by lightning in this valley." And it just kind of, in that moment, it kind of hit me. Now, I want to, here's a caveat. I don't think I'm like the tallest tree or the bee's knees or whatever, like some great thing. But in this moment, we had this conversation, and we started talking back and forth and just unpacking this idea that if you want to do something significant in your life for God, if you want to make changes, if you want to lead an organization well, if you want to shoulder the burdens of other people and help other people achieve greatness in their own lives, you're going to eventually sow deep roots in God, and you're going to grow. And so by God's grace, you'll be like that Psalm 1. You'll be like a tree planted by the water. You'll be immovable, right? Like you'll grow in confidence, not just in yourself, but in the Lord, and you'll eventually be a tall tree. Now, as incredible as that is, this is what I realized from my own life. Like, dads, you're going to be the tallest tree in your family, probably, right? Moms, you'll be the tallest tree for your kiddos and in your family. Like, they'll look to you. Here's the beauty of an incredibly tall tree. A lot of things can live under it. A lot of things can take shelter under a really tall tree. Birds can nest in a really tall tree with tons of branches, right? Squirrels and all those things. Like it can give shade in the summertime. It can be this incredibly beautiful experience. But the really tall trees are also susceptible to damage. I mean, you think about it this way, right? Like when the loggers go into the forest in New Mexico, that's where we go, they're not looking for the little trees that don't grow well. They're wanting to cut down the big trees. They're wanting to use that tree. And so if you're intentional about growing, if you're intentional about making a difference for God, if God begins to grow you in your faith and in your walk and in your business and in your community, there are people that are going to want to cut you down just to use you. They're going to want to use your influence. They're going to want to use your name. They're going to want to use your organization. They're just want to use your giftings. Like they are, and there are users that circle the tree. They don't want to add to the tree. They don't want to bless the tree. And check this out. When the tree defends itself and doesn't want to be used, those people hate the tree. And so there will be people, hear me say this, if you're gifted, if you're a leader, if you're a pastor, if you're a shepherd, if you're a worship leader, if you're a baseball coach, if you're a teacher, whatever it is, and you have incredible gifts, and there are users circling you, the moment that you deny them your gift for their benefit or the advancement of their agenda, they will hate you for it. And in those moments, oftentimes, is when the first lightning strike hits. It's inevitable. There will inevitably be in your life a boom, right? When I look at I'm like, man, this tree was doing nothing but growing. Like it was doing what it was supposed to do. It was standing there. It was shade for someone that was passing by. It was home for all of these things. It was producing fruit and even like multiplying, putting off other trees. But there was a moment that lightning hit. And let me say this, like, this is not a sob story in leadership. This is the privilege of leadership, is that people are going to hurl insults and critiques and throw lightning bolts at you. That is the privilege of leadership. That is the privilege of doing something influential. That's the privilege of making a difference. If you have no critics, you're not doing anything consequential. So the boom is inevitable. Like you're going to be struck by lightning. You're going to be struck by critique. You're going to be struck by users. Like that is part of the dynamic. If you want to do something great with your life and you want to do something glorious for God, it's going to happen. So the question is, what do we do when it does happen? You know, I've been, like, full transparency, I've been all over the spectrum on how to handle the lightning strike. I would probably say this 10, 15 years ago, I handle it different now than I did 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I just kind of bristled and would just strike back, right? Or I would get so introspective that I thought, I'm a terrible leader and I'm not good at my job. And maybe I am just a good preacher and not a good pastor, right? This some of the critiques leveled against me. Maybe I'm not compassionate or care. I would get so introspective that I would devalue myself and the gift of God. And you may be tempted to be in the same place. You may say, well, man, TJ, when I'm critiqued or when I struggle or when the lightning strikes or when I don't do what this certain group of people want me to do, like, man, I get hit with these accusations and I just get so depressed and I get sad because I don't think I'm enough. Or maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum and you just get angry and you lash out and you say a bunch of harsh things and things that you wish you could reel back in. My hope for you is this, and you say, TJ, why are you sharing and unpacking all this? Because every person, hear me say this, every person that wants to do something great in your life, I don't care if you're in insurance, if you're in real estate, if you're a pastor, if you're in sports, no matter what it is, if you begin to and want to do something great for God, there's going to be strikes. Like, we can just base level, the enemy hates it. Like, Satan does not want you to prosper, right? Like, I'm a pastor. This is a Christian podcast. And so, like, here's the reality. Scripture says that the enemy wants to kill, steal, and destroy. Like, he wants to consume you. He wants to limit the good things that you could do for God in your life. So what's he going to do? He's going to use people that you care about. It's going to be people in your community, and they're going to strike you. He's going to use anything he can, words, people, temptations, to leverage against you a strike with the intention to kill you, to kill the tree, to limit its influence, and to remove its productivity from the landscape. And so it's really beneficial. I share all of that with you because I think it's really beneficial for us to know what to do and the possibilities of what happens after the strike. Like, when lightning strikes, one of two things is going to happen. And I did a deep dive because I'm like, man, I just want to know. When we're on the mountain, I'm researching all this stuff on the mountain because, like, I got to know. Well, what happens? Well, a lot of the time, it does kill the tree. The lightning strike is so brutal. It creates obviously an explosion, but it sears, it burns, it scars the tree to such a degree that the tree then, and it's not necessarily the lightning strike that always kills the tree. And I hope you're grabbing this with me, this leadership principle. It's not always the big offense or the word leveled against you or the false accusation that someone hurls at you or the snide comment that's made. It's not the lightning strike immediately that kills the tree. It's the small scars and damage that the lightning does that allows disease to get into the tree and to kill it from the inside. And so there are times in leadership, if we are not defensive in our faith, defensive in our leadership, defensive of who we are as a person, those moments that the lightning strike comes, if we don't deal with those things, hand them to the Lord and begin to, and maybe it is some deficiencies and we need to grow, or maybe it is just jealousy and false accusation. We need to defend those things in our own hearts. The fear for me is that there are so many great leaders, there are great moms, great dads, great husbands, great wives, great coaches who have been leveled because when the lightning strike happened, they allowed it to wound them in such a way that they allowed other doubts and fears and temptations to seep into their soul and to begin to disease and devour their life. Let me say it this way. The lightning strike doesn't have to be the end of the story or the end of your productivity or your leadership. There's always going to be lightning strikes. Like, it may be the death of a loved one, right? Like, it may be the criticism of your giftings. It may be the loss of a gifting. It may be physical difficulty or a diagnosis that you're walking through. Right? You may have a team player that you thought was your best friend on the team, and they bounce and they're going to another organization now. There's always going to be lightning strikes, but it's left to us to choose what we're going to do in the aftermath of the strike. And we can allow those scars to not heal, to not deal with them. And in that event, we'll become brittle. diseased, and die. Our leadership will die. Our influence can die. And ultimately, I mean, over time, it could still come destroy our lives. Or, check this out. In my research of lightning and trees and nitrogen and fertilizer and all the things, this is what I also found out. This is crazy to me. That when lightning strikes a tree, there are moments where it does not kill the tree. It just reshapes it. Now, it scars it for sure. But there are moments where lightning hits the tree, and it is crazy. Like, this produces this pure nitrogen, which is like God's fertilizer, and the ground becomes more fertile. The area around the lightning strike gets better. And there are times where the tree doesn't succumb to the disease. It doesn't let the scar define who it is, but the tree is reshaped literally. Like, the makeup of the tree is made over by the lightning strike. It's reshaped, and check this out. The response to the lightning strike is this innate desire for the tree to put off more branches, for the tree to put off more growth. And I thought, man, when I was reading this, I was like, yes, like that is, man, what would it look like for you and for I in those for us when we have those moments, right? Where we experience the lightning strike, we experience the difficulty. If our response was, I'm not going to let this thing make me brittle, I'm going to let this thing make me better. I'm not going to let this scar turn into a disease that's going to erode my influence, but I'm going to let this scar be a part of the thing that reshapes me so that I'm more fruitful, give more shade, right? Like, so that I'm more beneficial to the valley. Like, what would it look like in your life? I ain't trying to be preachy. I just about kind of got preachy with you just then, I think. I'm not trying to be preachy. Pastor TJ came out this morning. Listen, I want you to be better. And I want you to know that, like, you may be walking through, I don't even know the influence or impact of this podcast all the time, but I know there's at least one of you listening that the lightning strike is fresh. And you think, man, this thing is going to kill me. Like, this is going to wipe out my influence. This is going to wipe out my marriage. This is going to wipe out my giftings, my friendships, my relationships. This might wipe out my job, whatever it is. This might wipe out my company. There will be lightning strikes. But my hope for you is that, and I say this unashamedly, that in Christ, like when your life is anchored in Jesus, you can realize and see that you can rejoice in the lightning strikes. You can count it joy even when you walk into the storm. Because not every lightning strike kills. Not every lightning strike destroys. Not every temptation and mistake, those, and wounds, whether you've wounded yourself or other people have wounded you, not every one of those kills you. Sometimes it reshapes us for the better. It transforms us. We're the same tree, just different. More fruitful, more branches, more growth, more growth. So there's a choice. And I'll say this. I'm actually, the sovereignty of God always blows my mind, because I'm literally preaching Colossians chapter 1, where Paul is saying, I'm currently rejoicing in my sufferings, filling up the afflictions of Christ, like not like for your sake and for God. Like Paul's telling church, like, hey, I'm going through it. Like, there's some lightning hitting around me. Like, things are kind of difficult. But he's like, here's the deal. Like, I'm rejoicing in it. And I told Lindley and I were having this conversation yesterday. I was like, Lindley, I want to know what that's like. I want people to be able to live in that. Because I don't know about you, but check this out. I usually rejoice on the other end of suffering. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's doing backflips and celebrating, popping champagne in the middle of the marathon. It's at the end when the suffering's over. And I think sometimes we live life, leadership, and the gospel this way. Like when the suffering is done, then we can rejoice. When the lightning strike is past and everything's healed, then we can be joyful. But what I'm recognizing, I'm like, no, like, man, there are always going to be lightning strikes. There's always going to be difficulty. There's always going to be critics if we want to do something great for God. So what does it look like To live in James 1, 2 through 4, where he says this, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet various trials of all kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." Like, man, what does it look like for your life, for my life? To endure with joy. To not allow the lightning strike to make us brittle or broken, or to think that it's the end of the game, but to endeavor to endeavor to let that thing make us better. Because here's the truth. Now, I want you to hear this. The truth is, it will happen. If you have not experienced a lightning strike, like this cataclysmic moment, you haven't experienced a storm yet in your relationship or in your life or in temptation or in your journey to success, whatever it may be, like the lightning's going to strike. Like it will happen. You will be struck. But check this out. You can be better. You can be victorious. You can survive it. Not just survive it. Gosh, you can thrive in it. Like you can allow the lightning in your life to remake you and reshape you, and for God to use even sometimes the lightning strike for His glory and for your good. Gosh, I'm being so preachy today. But man, it's my heart. Like I want this to anchor in your soul as much as I want it to anchor in my own soul. Because I truly believe the things that the enemy means for bad, God can transform our lives and use them for good. The things that the enemy leverages against us to try to take us out, God can use for good. And so today, when I think about lightning strikes in our lives, I believe by the grace of God, we get to choose what kind of tree we're going to be. We get to choose what kind of effect that it has on us. We can stay isolated in our lightning strike, alone, wounded, scarred, diseased, and we can become brittle and die. Or we can assess the scar, get help with the scar if we need to, right? Like maybe there needs to be some biblical counseling in your life. Maybe there needs to be some confession of sin or some temptation that you need a couple brothers or sisters to come around you and help keep you accountable. Like you can address the lightning strike and you can grow and be better. And listen, what you are after the strike can be even more glorious and awesome and influential than what you were before the strike. So listen, don't let it take you out. Count it all joy if you've experienced a lightning strike. It means, my Meemaw used to say this to me. I miss her, but this is what she used to say. When I was in high school and I was trying to live for Jesus and old patterns of sin were easy to fall back into. And I was lonely a lot. Like my crew, my group of friends, when I came to faith in Jesus, they literally cut me off. It's like, you're not partying with us. We can't party with you. Like you're just this weird Jesus guy now. We don't know what to do with you. And like, I'll never forget, man, I was in this season of just like struggling. And I went to my Meemaw and she was like, hey, baby, listen. She said, if you're not running into the devil, you're not doing anything for God. And I was like, Meemaw, what you talking about? I was like 17. I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. She was like, no, listen, if you're not running into him, you're walking the same way. I was like, oh, dang. Okay. So like, listen, here's the deal. You want to do something great. You want to do something significant in your life for God, for your family, for your business. Like the headwinds will be against you, right? Like you're going to run into difficulty. You're going to run into lightning strikes. But by God's grace, you can grow from them and be a better leader, be a better dad, be a better business owner, right? Like be a better real estate agent, whatever it is, be a better coach than you ever imagined. Check this out. If your roots are anchored in Christ, and that's my hope for you always, is that your roots are anchored in Christ. That's what's going to keep you on a firm foundation, even when the lightning comes and the wind blows and the rain is torrential, right? In those seasons of storm, it is a life anchored in Christ that allows you to weather it. Listen, I hope that's beneficial to you, and I hope you glean something from that today. And I want you to know this: like I'm praying over you. I don't know who all's listening to this. I don't know where you're at. You're probably maybe riding your truck, rocking, if you're in the Southeast, rocking down 75 or 82 or in some community somewhere. Maybe you're in, I don't know, we've seen the analytics. Maybe you're in Pakistan or maybe you're in Canada or Jamaica. But I just want you to know, like with this episode, I'm going to intentionally pray that every person that hears it would not only endure the lightning in their lives, but they would endure it with joy, and that God would use it to make them fruitful. Word? Awesome. All right, listen, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. There's one last thing I'm going to tell y'all before we go, because I got to tell you this story from the mountain, and this has nothing to do with lightning and nothing to do with leadership. It only has to do with survival, okay? So I'm going to paint this really quick picture. Ryan, we got time? Are we good? All right, cool. So y'all... give it up for Ryan. All right. He always takes care of us, and he's amazing. So check this out. We are hunting. All right. I know you can't see Ryan. Maybe we'll post a picture of him in the comments section of him just like saying "hey," I don't know. Anyways, so back to the mountain. This has to do with the mountain, but not to do with the podcast at all. So if you're you can turn this off, or you can just track with me. We're just gonna hang out for a minute. So because this is a wild experience, and this is something I'll carry forever because it was just kind of cool. So a friend of mine and I, we sat in this, they're called tree saddles, all right? It's not like a stand that you sit in, but it's like this thing that holds you, and you're hanging by a rope on the side of a tree. It's pretty cool. You should Google it. It's amazing. So a tree saddle. So we're sitting there. We sit for like 6 hours. We sit for a long time. We don't see anything. No elk, no mule deer, no wild horses, like none of the things that you would typically see in this, no bear. And so we climb down, and we're standing in the dark. We're in a place with no cell service, and it's kind of like about 9,500 feet of elevation. And Matt looks at me. He's like, you know how sometimes you just get this feeling that somebody's looking at you? You know what I'm saying? Like you've been in a restaurant, like just eating or whatever, going ham on a burger, and all of a sudden, like you feel eyes, and you look, and there's just somebody staring at you. Yeah. So you just kind of got that feeling, and Matt's like, hey, why don't you turn on your light? And so I click my light on. This is pitch black. I click my light on, and like 80 yards away, there's a mountain lion sitting just staring at us. And like check this out. Mountain lions don't hang out with people, all right? The only reason they approach people is to eat them, okay? And so we were like, oh man, this is wild. My buddy Matt was like, we don't have a gun or anything. I had a bow, and I was like, I don't know, man. This might get wild, So we're standing there, and it doesn't leave. This was the craziest thing. Like, it doesn't leave. It just stands there. And we're like, oh, what's going to happen? This is kind of wild. So anyways, a few minutes later, like, we stand there for 20 minutes waiting on our guide, and the eyes just move. Like, he goes left, and he goes right, and he comes forward and back a little bit, and we're just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, R.I.P. TJ and Matt. Who knows what's going to happen? So we go back and we tell everybody, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's wild. We're eating dinner or whatever. Wake up the next day, and we go hunt the other side of Big Lake, the place I was telling you about. And Matt's like 20 yards in front of me and the guide. His name was Larry. And Larry was awesome. And Larry was actually a believer, and he adopted a little girl. And we had some pretty cool stories. Anyways, so Larry and I are sitting there having a conversation about putting in for like Oryx tags in New Mexico and the White Sands Missile Range and all this stuff. We're just having a conversation. And Larry gets this look on his face. And he's like, kind of turns his head. Like when you're talking to a dog, I'm not calling Larry a dog, but like when you're talking to a dog and the dog like kind of looks like it turns its head sideways, like they're trying to hear something that's not there. All of a sudden, Larry like turns his head to the side, and he looks at me like with these real penetrating, concerned eyes. He's like, do you hear that? And I'm like, I'm not sure. And then you're like, it's like, psh, 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 like these real light footfalls. And all of a sudden, Larry's reaching for his Glock in his bino case and like coming backwards. And the mountain lion, again, was like 80 yards behind us, just crouching, peering into our souls, desiring to eat us. So anyways, it was a wild time on the mountain. I've never been in a place where I was hunting something and something was hunting me, but it was an incredible time. I appreciate you hanging around for my Lion TED Talk, and I hope you guys have a great day. Listen, if there's ever any questions, anything you ever want to talk about, or something that you want me to cover or handle, life, leadership, the gospel, social issues, politics, I don't care. I'll talk about whatever you guys want to hear about, and I'll try to approach it in a biblical way. TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast at gmail.com. I love you guys. See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast, where we talk about life, leadership, and the gospel. If you enjoyed this episode, share with a friend. For more content, follow us on Instagram and YouTube. If you have any questions you would like to ask TJ, whether it is about life, leadership, or the gospel, you can email those to tjmauldinleadershippodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening, and we hope you join us again on the TJ Mauldin Leadership Podcast.